It's no secret at this point. Defense sets the tone for the Duke basketball team. It starts with Maliq Brown. Cooper Flagg adds a lot to that dynamic. The guards are getting after it. This defense is unbelievable.
You are Locked On Blue Devils, your daily podcast on the Duke Blue Devils. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, everybody, and welcome on into another episode of the Locked On Blue Devils podcast. My name is JJ Jackson. Thanks for being here with us today on Tuesday, December 10th, 2024. Locked On Blue Devils is your one-stop shop where we discuss everything going on in the life of Duke athletics. We're talking basketball today, a big win on Sunday night over Louisville, and all of a sudden, a quick turnaround. Duke plays again tonight. We get more Duke basketball in our lives as the Blue Devils have a non-conference tilt with Incarnate Word. We'll talk about that game a little bit later and more with our good friend Jordan Mann, who joins us on the show here today. If you have not done so already, please be sure to follow and subscribe to Locked On Blue Devils for free wherever it is that you get your podcasts. Be sure to leave us a 5-star rating and written review. You can watch the show each and every day on YouTube. Shout out to our everydayers out there. Like this video, share it with your friends, and comment down below. We love the comments on these videos, continuing the discussion and conversation around Duke basketball. Defense, defense, defense. It sets the tone for every basketball team year in and year out, and it is no different whatsoever for this Duke team in particular. My word, the number one defense in America continues to put together another strong outing. In the Louisville game in particular, it's a Duke team that had a 14-point first-half deficit, fought all the way back, and found themselves in the win column once again. To talk about the defense, to talk about the win over Louisville, and so much more, fired up to bring on our good friend Jordan Mann, who's with us on the program. Look, I know as a former basketball player like yourself, Jordan, I'm not going to believe you if you told me your favorite things about practice was the defense. But boy, it's so important for any team to be successful, man.
Oh, yeah. I still get PTSD about this drill we used to call baseball drill, where we had top of the first, 3-on-3 basically. There was no rules. You had to get rebounds. And if you got offense rebound, it counted as a run. If you get a defense rebound, it's an out. And elbows go, everything goes. And it was brutal. But you know what? It made us stronger to get offense and defense rebounds. And that's what we see with this Duke team, right? Like they crash the boards. I mean, Cooper Flagg seems like he averages 12 rebounds a game. Maliq Brown had 11 against Louisville. And then other guys chip in and crash the board as well. It's just a physical team that will knock any offense off their rhythm of trying to get something going.
They hate us because they ain't us. You know, we're used to that in the world of Duke basketball. And the reason nobody's liked this defense this year, it's the tallest team in America time and time again. The length continues to be the biggest X factor for this Duke team. People are going to be sick of hearing it by the end of the year. But when Duke is this good, and when you've got something as astounding as the size, the length, everything with the Duke team, you got to talk about it because, again, it's such a big reason why they're able to be so successful on the defensive end of the floor.
Yeah, and what's crazy, JJ, is the tallest guy on the tallest team doesn't play that much recently. Like Maliq had 11 minutes against Louisville. So it's not like he is down there having 35 minutes and just wrecking havoc. It's Maliq Brown, who is ironically like the smallest 5 in the ACC. I mean, he's like 6'8", and he's can guard 1 through 5, and he's wrecking havoc anytime the ball is near him. So it's a team effort defensively, but it's led by Maliq Brown.
He's been awesome as of late. I know that people look at his numbers from this game in particular. You've got those 6 points, 11 rebounds. He gets timely buckets. His buckets in this one of them was out in transition when Duke's making that big run to come back into the game. They closed the game on a 26-10 run. So what he's able to do offensively has been really fun too. I want to get to the defense in a second, but yeah, I like game by game, step by step. In the Kansas game, he knocks down the big three-pointer. It's always an added bonus when you could get something a little bit more offensively out of Maliq Brown outside of those offensive rebounds. Because goodness gracious, Maliq Brown, please keep helping us rebound on the offensive boards.
Yeah, Maliq Brown, dude, he can do it all, man. And like you said about that fast break, Sion James throws an outlet pass to his 5, and his 5 does a Euro step and finishes around a defender and dunks it. Like, it's the backup 5, by the way. And it's just like, this dude he's so talented. He just oozes talent, and he is probably the best role player I've ever seen. And that could be a stretch if people really want to nitpick. But right now, when I think of an elite role player, it's Maliq Brown. John James is not too far behind either with what he's done for Duke offensively and defensively. But you want to talk about offense, JJ, like Duke struggled to shoot the three, obviously 8 of 30 in the game. But what sticks out to me is Colin Knippel's floor game. Like, it's well documented. He has struggled shooting the ball for Duke in these big games. He was 4 of 12 in this game, but 6 assists to 1 turnover. Against Kansas, he struggled to shoot the ball. He had 8 assists. Like, the guy impacts Duke's winning and Duke's offense without scoring. Like, I think some people think of him just as a shooter, but 6 assists to 1 turnover this game, 8 assists against Kansas. Like, the guy is a really good distributor in the offense.
Without a doubt he is, and he's just a big-time player for the Duke team. The fact that they fall behind in the first half in the ACC opener, the way in which they did, it's a first half where Louisville starts hitting 8 of 11 from three-point range. The first half they finished 8 of 16, so 50%, and they didn't back down, they didn't give up, and they didn't get lazy on the defensive end of the floor. That last part is what's most impressive to me, is because they knew all of a sudden our shots are going to start to come on our end as well. And at some point, Louisville is going to start to miss a bucket or two. And fortunately, they finally did.
You said they started 8 of 11. Louisville did, JJ?
Yeah.
So they finished 3 of 20 from 3 then. They were 11 of 31. So it's like, granted, like Louisville started off hot because they were having in-rhythm looks from 3. And then once you get a couple of those, the heat checks will start to fall. And that's just how the game of basketball goes. But Duke in the second half really made Louisville work for it around the rim and trying to get long jumpers to where they had to start settling for threes. And when you're not shooting in rhythm threes, you start seeing clanks to where the open looks that you should hit miss. And so that's a credit to Duke's defense. But yeah, I mean, Duke's shooting wise, like Knippel, 2 of 9 from 3. Proctor, who's been really good for Duke, 1 of 6. But Proctor had a really good game of attacking the rim, JJ. I mean, he really helped Duke with that big, strong finish. I think it was with his left hand to put it a 7-point game. And he's been phenomenal so far for Duke this season.
I've loved every second of it. It's been so awesome to watch him get better game by game and to be able to make an impact offensively. Talking about the big fella, though, because Maliq Brown has been such a dynamic player for Duke this season. 29 minutes in this Louisville game. You can see on the bottom right of this box score here, he's plus 24 in that department. He's able to play so much as of late, which means we're not seeing as much common Maliq. The big fella for the Blue Devils has been limited in terms of opportunities that he's had out there on the floor. But you look at the numbers, he doesn't commit any fouls. He grabs 2 offensive rebounds. His 1 bucket of the game was a crazy alley-oop where you just throw it at the rim and that sort of thing. And, I thought we had a good conversation on yesterday's show with Josh Cox, who wanted to remind people that, look, this time in Derek Lively's first year with Duke basketball, his only season with the Blue Devils, people were hoping to see a little bit more out of him. So maybe not give up too much on the Maliq stock. Not that you have, Jordan, but it is a little surprising that this is a guy that, you hear, hey, he's going to be a lottery pick. And then you look at the box score of your ACC opener, and this guy played just 11 minutes.
Yeah, and there's nothing against Common at all. Like, he's just a little raw, like we've talked about, or I've talked about on this show, that he's still pretty damn brand new to basketball, and he's still learning the game at the highest level. And it's also okay when he's playing fewer minutes, because the guy we've already talked about so much in the first 9 minutes of the show, Maliq Brown, is being such a good 5 for Duke. And so when Maliq Brown is stepping up and being that 5 for Duke, it allows Common to pick his spots. And he's done a good job of what he's been out there to do. Like I said, he's a lob threat. I would like to see Duke's guards turn the corner more and look for him on those lobs, because it's there more often than we've thrown it. But when we've thrown it, he's went and got it. And that's been an impressive part of his game.
And hopefully he continues to improve all parts of his game to continue to be a weapon for the Duke basketball team. Excited to see how he can take that next step forward for the Blue Devils and so much more. All right, let's keep talking about this defensive effort from Duke and how they can continue to improve in the days and weeks to come. As again, they play tonight against Incarnate Word. So really excited to see that matchup between these two squads. Jordan Mann is here with us, and we'll be back in just a moment on the program after this quick timeout here on Locked On Blue Devils. Locked On Blue Devils here today is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. Get ready to tackle the NFL action with America's #1 sportsbook. We're talking about FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet $5 and get $150 in bonus bets if you win. The FanDuel Sportsbook app gives you everything that you need to place live bets on the NFL all in one place. So when you get in a hunch in the middle of the game, you can check out the latest stats, view live play-by-play, and so much more on the same page where you place your bets. Just visit FanDuel.com to join today. You'll get started with $150 in bonus bets if you win your first $5 bet. That's FanDuel.com. Never waste a hunch and make every moment more with FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of the NFL and a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, so Duke basketball wins the ACC opener. They knock off Louisville. They win by 11, and now they get set for Incarnate Word, and it was the defense setting the tone once again. What's up with these starts, Jordan? I mean, down 14 in the first half. Are you noticing anything? This is the question that Shire's asked every single day, and he's admitting he can't really get a hold of it because it's the number one thing they're preaching in practice, and yet it just tends to happen from time to time.
Yeah, honestly, JJ, like Duke's just going out there offensively. I don't know what else you can do because Duke's getting pretty good looks to start the game. Yes, they're missing them, but defensively, teams are just starting hot, very hot, very unconscious from the 3-point line in particular. I mean, Auburn, Kansas, and Louisville last game just starting hot from 3. And I think like my solution would be starting Maliq Brown is just because he is such a defensive enforcer. And the way he hedges ball screens up top, it ruins rhythm or ruins the flow of offenses when he's in the game. So
not a bad idea.
Maybe you start him. Again, I like what Shire's doing minutes-wise with Common, playing the first 3 minutes, subbing Maliq Brown, and then go on from there. But those first 3 minutes have killed Duke in 3 games that I can think of off the top of my head. Kansas down double digits immediately, Auburn double digits, and then Louisville basically double digits, all before Maliq Brown got in the game. And so Duke chipped away, right? Like Duke showed the heart and their talent chipping away against really good teams to take the lead. But let's start out with the double-digit lead. And I think that has to deal with Maliq Brown coming off the bench or starting instead of coming off the bench.
Well, we've already seen one lineup change. It's the second game in a row that Sion James starts in place of Caleb Foster. Caleb Foster, I thought was productive offensively for this Duke team, although I hate to see the plus-minus stats do not back him up. In that regard there. What are you seeing out of the mix of James and Foster?
I think Caleb looked a lot more comfortable coming off the bench in the 2 games. He had 11 points against – who was 2 games ago? I'm drawing a blank, JJ. Auburn. He had 11 points against Auburn, and then he had, 9 points against Louisville, 10 points against Louisville. And so besides the 1-3 that held off top of the backboard against Louisville, I thought he played well. I mean,
that was a tough one.
Yeah, I thought there was a breeze that got through the stadium at the time, but it's okay. Like I thought he played well coming off the bench compared to what he was as a starter. And Sion had a tough go out against Louisville to start. He had a couple of turnovers early, didn't seem to get his feet wet, but then as the game progressed, we saw what Sion James could do. And I think that was a smart change for Duke. And maybe another change would be Common going to the bench and Maliq Brown starting.
Con Knipple, 12 points. Tyrese Proctor had 13. So 4 guys in double figures for Duke. And then you had Foster with 9. So just shy of that himself. Then looking at the rotation in an ACC game, people want to see what the mix of Mason Gillis and Isaiah Evans would be in a game like this. After his 18-point outing, no points for Isaiah Evans in his 10 minutes of action. We saw 16 minutes from Mason Gillis. And John Shire was so complimentary of Gillis after the game, particularly when Cooper Flagg picked up his 4th foul with 10 minutes to go. And it was the toughness that he brought in and Mason Gillis, who picked up some big defensive challenges and really set the tone for Duke down the stretch in that Louisville comeback.
Yeah, look, Mason Gillis isn't going to do anything that's flashy that when you're watching the game, it's going to stand out to you. But like Shire said, credit to him for his defensive toughness because when he came in, made Louisville have some empty sets, empty possessions, and then Duke went on the other end. I think Duke ended up being on a 15-2 run against Louisville with Cooper Flagg on the bench. And so, again, Mason Gillis had 3 points, but him being out there and doing what he does and it's just filling the gaps. And he did a really good job of what he had to do defensively. And then Duke's offense, man, with Cooper Flagg on the bench, it looked very unselfish to where they're moving the ball around, getting good shots and getting good looks.
How good is Cooper Flagg, though? I mean, ACC debut, 20-12, man, knocks down a three-pointer when we've been desperate for him to get one going again, a block, 2 steals.
Yeah, like Cooper is very talented. He looked like he rushed his pace in the first half. Like looked like he was just trying to will his way to the rim and just was having low percentage shots. But when he lets the game come to him, that's where he shoots 8 of 17. It seems like he starts 3 of 11, and then he goes and gets hot at the end, and he starts getting a rhythm with himself. And so the more he plays college basketball, the more you'll see him find his spots better. And look, at the end of the day, he's still at 20-12, and he still has room for improvement. And that's the scary part.
And if you didn't know, he's still 17 years old. Still the young kid, man.
Still 17, and so is Ryan Williams, I think, at Alabama.
Yeah, it's birthday month though for Cooper, so we're getting closer to being able to finally put that one to rest. All right, it's a game for Duke coming up today against Incarnate Word. Let's talk a little bit more about that game and more with our friend Jordan Mann after we take our final timeout here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, Locked On Blue Devils is brought to you by our friends over at Omaha Steaks. Nothing delivers comfort and joy quite like the unrivaled quality and taste of Omaha Steaks. Guaranteed perfection in every single bite. And right now, you could save on unforgettable gifts with 50% off site-wide at omahasteaks.com. Plus, score an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. With 5 generations of excellence, they consistently deliver the world's best top experience in steak. And the gifting experts at Omaha Steaks have made it easy to deliver the perfect gift with thoughtfully curated gift packages featuring gourmet favorites. From legendary steaks to mouth-watering desserts and so much more. Again, save 50% off site-wide for a limited time at omahasteaks.com. Plus, our listeners can get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. That's 50% off at omahasteaks.com. OMAHA steaks.com and get an extra $30 off with promo code COLLEGE. Minimum purchase may apply. Omaha Steaks is a proud sponsor of Locked On Blue Devils. Okay, so now we've got Incarnate Word coming up a little bit later today for Duke. I got a couple of bye games here for the Blue Devils as they're known in the sport. You've got Incarnate Word tonight. George Mason still to come. Duke's already played the likes of Wofford in these spots earlier in the season and that sort of thing. And another opportunity to get more run for the likes of maybe in a Darren Harris or a Pat Ngamba, Isaiah Evans, Mason Gillis. Certainly their minutes are likely to increase. And not a bad thing maybe to rest the legs of Con Knipple, Cooper Flagg, some of your stars that have had a heavier workload fresh off this Auburn game and then a quick turnaround into the ACC opener.
Yeah, I'll be in attendance for this game, JJ. So I'm excited to be in Cameron to watch the young pups. I think it will be like a deep bench tonight.
Yeah.
I think it'll be a deep bench. And a guy that I'm excited to watch is Maliq.
Yeah.
This is a good get-right game for him. Like he had a double-double against Army early this season. And so maybe this is a game that we see him have more minutes than Maliq Brown because, you know, Shire wants Common to get more minutes. Pat Ngongba's going to come in. Like you said, Darren Harris and Isaiah Evans of the world. But maybe this is where we can see a get-right game with Common and then see Isaiah get back on track and hit some threes from deep.
Incarnate Word is 5-4 on the season. And once again, a school that Duke should have no issues with whatsoever, kind of looking through their schedule so far. This is going to be the first power conference opponent that Incarnate Word is going to go up against. There's going to be a major size advantage when this game tips off, man. It might be a little overwhelming for them when they step into the gym.
5-4, and this is their first like big test. Is kind of crazy because I was expecting 5-4 with playing like Ole Miss and all these other Power 4 teams.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it's going to be an interesting. It's going to be an interesting game for Incarnate Word. There's going to be a lot of Instagram pictures for them, obviously coming into Cameron and living in the moment. And I do not blame them one bit for doing that. But this is a game for Duke to really go through and test that depth. And so I hope we do see a type of a Wofford game where it was an easy win for Duke, and you got the young guys on the court and getting some burn because Duke's going to rely on these guys when it comes January, February. Like we will see more minutes like we saw with Isaiah Evans against Auburn, we will see him continue to have double-digit minutes this season. Can he start getting, consistent productivity when he gets in the game?
Incarnate Word out of the Southland Conference, famously also the home for Stephen F. Austin. So we know that the opponents of kind of that level are capable of coming inside Cameron Indoor Stadium and winning a game. So do not want that to be the reality that unfolds a little bit later tonight in Cameron Indoor. And looking even further, this is the only major conference opponent that Incarnate Word has on their schedule this season. Nobody from the ACC, SEC, Big 10, Big 12, Big East. None of those schools coming up on their schedule. So this could be a Super Bowl for them in so many ways, man.
Oh, it could. It would. It is going to be their Super Bowl. And I do not blame them one bit. They are going to come in just smiling, ready to
nothing to lose.
Yeah, there's going to be a couple of their better players. It's like, it's my time to shine, and I don't blame them. Like I said, I'd be the same way going into Cameron Indoor. All the lights and eyeballs are going to be on you. The most eyeballs that's ever going to be on Incarnate Word all year is going to happen in Cameron tonight. And so maybe we see some young hoopers for them show out, but hopefully they show out JJ in a 30 to 40 point loss.
Yeah, exactly. Have great stats, but let Duke still win this thing comfortably. Let the defense still be at the top, the efficiency metrics, and all those various things, and get a little downtime. Exam week coming up for the Blue Devils, and then they'll be able to take care of business with George Mason in a week or two. So before we get out of here, let people know, Jordan, how can they support you? I want to give a football thought or two in just a moment with you here, but talking basketball here. I know they love the film breakdowns and everything else you got going on. How can people support you?
Yeah, my Twitter's attached below, J-Man's Takes and Big J Little J Show is the podcast. Find us on Apple and Spotify, and also on my YouTube channel, which is J-Man _, where you can find those said film breakdowns. The Louisville film breakdown will be out this week, and so looking forward to having that out as well. And then hopefully we'll have another one with Incarnate Word, because I'm a sicko and I like film breakdowns of any opposition.
Without a doubt. Go check it all out. Jordan's awesome. You're watching college basketball all the time. You're tweeting thoughts about what's going on in Chapel Hill and everything. So people can definitely go check all that out. So I needed to say this, though, before we got out of here. Duke's headed to the Gator Bowl. They're playing Ole Miss in a football game. Duke has never played in the Gator Bowl before in Jacksonville. And here they are getting to play Ole Miss, a school they've also never played before in the SEC. Talked about it a little bit on yesterday's program, again, where, hey, it's an SEC bowl. There's the likes of Florida, Alabama, Ole Miss, LSU, just some of the teams that were in the conversation. It's crazy to know that that was an option for Duke to be playing in, that those type teams. Here we are, man, after a 9-3 season. Look at where Duke football's at, man.
Yeah, I mean, shout out to Clemson and SMU for SMU keeping it close enough and Clemson winning to where it happened to be two ACC teams in the playoff, to where I think that boosted up Duke a little bit there. And, yeah, it's crazy because the Gator Bowl, I was talking to Brian Kennedy from Duke Football Talk, and we were talking. He said, hey, last time Duke was 9-3, they played in the El Paso Bowl. So just because Duke was 9-3 didn't guarantee like a really good shot at the Gator Bowl. But Duke got it. And so that was awesome. I am very pumped up that Duke's playing a Power 4 opponent for the first time, I think, 5 or 6 years off the top of my head. So Duke playing Ole Miss, who, by the way, Wake Forest canceled their home-and-home series after the beatdown in Wake and Winston-Salem. So
forgot about that from earlier this year.
Yeah, so maybe this can be the get-right game for the ACC against Ole Miss. Like, hey, you know what? This ACC is not as bad as what Wake Forest seemed to be when they canceled the second game.
We already promoted we're state champs, right? We took down Wake, we took down UNC, NC State, took down Elon, and so maybe we'll have to be the ones that go down to Lane Kiffin and company and let them know what North Carolina football is all about.
Hey, it is the David Cutcliffe Bowl, and so Duke needs to win the David Cutcliffe Bowl.
We'll take it. We'll take it. All right, man. Be well, Jordan. We'll do this again sometime soon, okay?
See you, brother.
All right, that's Jordan Mann joining us here on today's episode of Locked On Blue Devils. Always appreciate his time, insight, and go check out everything he's got going on. Again, on X at J-Man's Takes, and go find the Big J and Little J Show wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks for watching and supporting Locked On Blue Devils. Be sure to subscribe to our podcast feed, share this video with your friends if you're watching on YouTube, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That'll do it. As always, go Duke. I'll talk to you tomorrow. My name is JJ Jackson. Thank you, and good day.